Joining me now live from New York is Ian Reifowitz. He's a history professor at Empire State College of the State University of New York. So Ian, what do you think is the most important thing to watch for in this debate? Can we expect real answers, or are we just going to see a festival of insults?
I like that, festival of insults. Look, any discussion involving Donald Trump is not going to be one that will be operating at what we might call a high philosophical level. I think we've seen enough from him, certainly in the 2016 debates, in his dealings with press in terms of press conferences and other events. No, this is not going to be Lincoln versus Douglas. It's going to be a street fight, and I think what's really interesting is the tax issue, the report on Trump's taxes, because that's really the one thing that I think 48 hours ago we didn't see coming. Right? We knew what the parameters of this debate were going to be. They've talked about COVID and Trump's failed response to COVID. They've talked about the economy. They've talked about reproductive rights. They've talked about health insurance, but we didn't see this tax debate coming. So what I'm curious to see really is how the moderator, Chris Wallace, handles this report about Trump failing to pay taxes, and then also how Joe Biden handles it. And then, of course, what Trump says in response. We know he'll say, oh, it's fake news, but we'll see if he can come up with, if anything, more substantive in response than that.
So what do you think would be considered a win for either side? A Wall Street Journal NBC poll claims that the debate could be or should be good for TV, but 70% of those surveyed said that the debate really isn't going to change their mind. They already know who they want to vote for.
Right. Well, and to build on that data, polling, and I look at polling pretty carefully, shows that roughly 5, 6, 7% of voters are undecided. At this point in 2016, that percentage was somewhere between 15 and 20, maybe 3 times higher. Right now, you have a very different election. To some degree, Donald Trump was an unknown. You have an election now where he is a sitting president. Just in general, elections that have a sitting president have a much lower percentage of undecided voters, so that's not surprising. But given how much Trump has been in the news, I think people know what Trump is about. And then his challenger, Joe Biden, is a well-known figure as well. So in terms of what each of the candidates need to do, they each need to hit the bar that has been set for them by the media. Trump has set a low bar for Trump has set a low bar for Biden. If Biden makes it through the debate, without sounding incoherent, I think that he will have exceeded the expectations that Trump has set for him. That may have been a strategic error on Trump's part. I think Biden largely just has to hold his ground, but I do think he wants to make these tax returns an issue. There are a few things that can move the needle, but the tax thing might be able to do it if he can evoke, I think, 2 emotions from his supporters or actually from undecided voters. One is anger over the fact that this person, Trump, who lives in a luxurious lifestyle, is paying almost no taxes. Get voters angry about that. And 2, fear. Get them to be afraid. Emphasize that the President Trump owes hundreds of millions of dollars that are coming due in the next 4 years, and get voters to be afraid of what Trump might do to avoid paying those taxes, how he might perhaps somehow sell out the country's interests or national security interests. So if Biden can use the tax return issue to evoke fear and anger among undecided voters, that's the way he could score maybe even extend his lead over the president.
Ian, about 20 seconds left, so sorry about the time there. You actually wrote a book about the tribalization of politics, which examines how Donald Trump ended up as the U.S. president. So in a few seconds, just kind of sum up for us what you see differently this time around.
People know what Trump is. I don't think his shtick plays as new and exciting or honest anymore. So I think he's going to have a harder time getting people to see him as somebody who tells it like it is, and have them find that an appealing message. I think they know what he talks about. They know his race baiting, and they know his fear mongering. So I don't think it plays as well in 2020 as it did in 2016.
All right, we'll see how this goes. Professor Ian Reifowitz, thank you so much for joining us from New York. We appreciate it.